presence. But in this particular series, in this mirror, I do think it will give Alutemu a slight edge.
Yeah, this is exactly the difference between GivePLZ and Blitzchung's list yesterday as well. And I also came to the same conclusion that on average, I think the Diligent Note Taker will be less effective for GivePLZ because, like you said, just making sure you can consistently get that elemental curve as many games as possible is super important in the mirror. There are, of course, some panouts where it does transition quickly into a Doomhammer race where maybe if you were able to cash in the Note Taker for an extra Rockbiter a bit later, you can push the lethal a bit quicker in your favor, but it's not so cut and dry because health totals can go up by 6 a lot of the time in this matchup because of this new card, Canal Slogger.
What's happening, Gia? I thought Alutemu was good at this game.
Yes, hold on.
Is this the nuts? Am I a non-believer?
No, it's not the nuts, but he's not in that bad of a position.
Okay.
Okay, the Storm Strike's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I was thinking of a Rockbiter into Coin Canal curve and then Primal Dungeoneer after that with the Overload, which is still on the table, but now the Storm Strike into Primal into Canal looks a little bit cleaner, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it looks fine.
Because the Rockbiter play, while it does still allow you to get the Canal Slogger 1 turn sooner, I think you end up taking more damage from the minions on board because you are only clearing 1 instead of 2 that the Storm Strike allows you to do this turn.
Well, GivePLZ is having a very, very simple time following up with his curve very easily. Has got both the Doomhammers and a cage match, which sucks, of course, and will give all the information that Alutemu needs as to what his hand is looking like. He can figure out what it's a spell, 2 Doomhammers, a random elemental, and something. But 4 of the 5 cards in hand, he essentially has very, very good information, perfect or near perfect as to what they are.
And that means the Canal Sloggers are prime commodities right now. Every bit of health is already so precious to Alutemu because he knows the only weapon in the deck is Doomhammer. The only spells in the deck are things that buff Doomhammer and really take advantage of that Wind Fury effect. We are talking about 10 point breakpoints and 16. Those are the health points you need to be aware of when Doomhammer is in play.
So I guess you are probably transitioning over to Doomhammer. I was wondering if you go for Steward on this turn, but just the fact that you can pretty cleanly go Doomhammer into Canal Slogger, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are committing to a burn plan at all. As we see here, if you're willing to sacrifice your health, Doomhammer is not a bad board control card. It's just very, very costly to your health total.
That's true. And Alutemu, for now, like GivePLZ can't have any read on there being a Doomhammer, no cage match played yet, so just assume that they can't race you. And for now, Alutemu is just going to take the board. And for GivePLZ, this is a go signal. I was going to say, I thought, to just rip a Storm Strike, but this is still a pretty clean board control turn, right? He has this health to play with because he's going to heal back up with the Slogger. And he is only overloaded for 1 next turn, so he can still fit in double Storm Strike.
Yeah, double Storm Strike again, and that still allows him to balance that tightrope of being able to both go for a burn plan because the Storm Strikes allow him to go face for more damage, but also not giving up on board completely. Like double Storm Strike here is huge. Clears the board, goes face for 16, Rockbiter weapon for another 10 next turn. He just has lethal set up and ready to go.
It's hyper fast. Both these players clearly know how the matchup goes. GivePLZ slightly worried about second Canal Slogger, but even that, it's not really racing him down, it's just delaying for Alutemu. The problem is, it's a persistent minion, right? So the lifesteal sticks for a turn.
Yes. Yeah.
After the 2 Storm Surges have been played, it means GivePLZ has to remove it either by discovering something timely or face tanking it, which means Alutemu heals for another 6.
I wonder.
And so if Alutemu were to heal up to, what, 15, Steward of Scrolls wouldn't be able to give any individual outs for lethal, right? Because Lightning Bolt is the most you can get for 1, which wouldn't get the job done. But if he's not going to go for the Canal Slogger... Oh, no, you can go Primal Dungeoneer and then the Slogger. Okay.
He's drawing first. This is the thing GivePLZ did not want to see, but not in the worst position. The Steward, as long as it gives him a way to delete the 6-4 without it healing more, then Give Please is in a very good spot. If he misses, though, Alutemu could use this opportunity to get back into the game. The landslide is enormous. Wait, he's not overloaded. Never mind.
Yeah, the Serpent Shrine is ridiculous, though. The spell damage gives him exactly 4, denying the lifesteal as well. Absolutely huge. Still only 11 damage. Oh, sorry, only 10 damage available next turn. So if there is a board clear here, Alutemu is alive, and he will know that 10 is a very, very obvious breakpoint that he does need to play around very, very carefully.
Alutemu doesn't have the clear.
True.
It has to be either you don't play around burst damage from hand, which is a read you can make after having seen one Doomhammer and a lot of the tools that go alongside it, or you go digging with Fireheart.
So if you don't clear anything, you're dead to 4 damage, which is... it's exactly Doomhammer, but it's not Rockbiter weapon. Like,
yes,
you're still vulnerable to stuff. The difference between 3 and 4 is a very, very big deal, but you can leave yourself vulnerable to specifically 4 as a valid game plan, I think.
Alutemu makes the executive decision to go Fireheart. These are expensive ways to start off, but the Lightning Storm gives him an out for Perpetual Flame for the board clear, I guess.
Yeah, Perpetual Flame, Lightning Bolt, the new tradable 1 mana deal damage overload spell.
Yeah, Overdraft.
Overdraft, there we go, yeah.
Going Molten Blast instead to leave him not overloaded, I guess. There's Lightning Bolt, but that's not the clear. It's a little bit short.
So close.
Down. So he's deciding here to play around Doomhammer, but not Doomhammer Rockbiter, which I think is very, very reasonable. However, Give Please has this combo, had it really cleanly laid out, and I think played this super clean and super fast.
Yeah, interesting, because I was thinking maybe he has the Doomhammer, maybe he doesn't. Alutemu knows he has the Doomhammer, right? Because he played a Cage Match Custodian over and earlier and drew nothing. And so obviously this play did not leave him dead because he'd played 2 Storm Strikes. He'd played the card that had been drawn off of the Dungeoneer. And so for Alutemu, he did not know he was dead there at all. And he made the correct play of not leaving himself vulnerable to 4 damage, because at that point, obviously, he would have just been dead 100%. But even then, I kind of wonder if the Lightning Storm was the way to go. Obviously, you're overloading yourself quite heavily for the turn after. Maybe you're just supposed to make the read that they don't have 1 of 2 Rockbiter weapons. It's so difficult to pass through all the odds, all the very, very difficult statistics to work through. But Alutemu, he made his judgment call, and it turned out to be the wrong one here.
I think there's also another factor we maybe didn't highlight from Alutemu's perspective, which is maybe leaving a minion on board. He had played both of the Canal Sluggers, but on the off chance he could generate another from Menacing Nimbus, that's one way to get healing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that, it's really tough. But in the end, maybe Alutemu also calculated something with the overload that we were not seeing, and it did look like the Lightning Storm maybe would have left him an opportunity to survive, given that the next Discover was Lightning Bolt. But in any case, Give Please, I think, really played lights out there, especially the turn where he deviated from the immediate Storm Strike, I think, and went for a clear and a slight delay on the Doomhammer instead.
Well, here we go. The other premier aggro deck of this metagame in Face Hunter from Give Please. It's a deck that you would pretty much always like to ban. It's the second most banned archetype, I believe, after Demon Hunter, and it's not that far behind here in the Asia Pacific region, at least. But as you laid out very eloquently at the start, Alutemu and Give Please, both with the Mage, do kind of have to ban away the OTK Demon Hunter because they leave themselves that little bit too vulnerable, and of course their own hunters can be vulnerable to the Demon Hunter. But the upshot of it is, I think that Hunter does get itself a pretty good matchup overall. The Mage, from what we've seen, it looks like it should be a great matchup, despite obviously Surrender taking the win with it, with the Mage against the Hunter earlier on today. But just very, very well suited overall. How it faces against Shaman specifically, though, is I think the potential road bump stopping Hunter from being the dominant deck of this metagame.
Very, very true. Lambi series pulled off an insane victory even against the strongest possible curve, or one of the strongest possible ones from Surrender a while ago. Can Give Please replicate it? Alutemu does have the Granite Forgeborn, but no Kindling Elemental quite yet. And Give Please lacking a 1-drop! That's a disaster! Oh no, it's too late.
Yeah, pretty disastrous. Going with the Neophyte here, realistically, that's not going to make any difference. You know, maybe it stops them from coining out a 3-drop, coining out the Dungeoneer, but quite obviously here, Alutemu has a very, very strong play. GivePLZ's hand, though, okay, it's starting to come together a little bit more effectively. This can get some pretty good board control rolling.
Yeah, this is shaping up a lot better because of the Kolkar Pack Runner. He can take a value trade, and actually, minions at 1 health are very annoying for Shaman. Other breakpoints tend to be 2 from Doomhammer, 2 from Arid Stormer, and then 3 from the spells. But 1, you generally don't want to send the Arid Stormer into a 4-1 here, and Alutemu, I think, will be much more concerned with getting rid of the Kolkar Pack Runner, but it means that he tanks another 4 damage.
Are we not just playing Forgeborn here? Yeah, here's we're not doing anything. There we go, Coin Granite Forgeborn for Alutemu. I like this a lot. I think this is, if I had one criticism of Surrender's gameplay in the previous series, he was too hesitant to fall behind in these early turns against Hunter. Like, in his mulligan where he didn't keep the Forgeborn, whereas here Alutemu did keep the Forgeborn. I'm not going to commit 100% to say that one is right or wrong, but my instincts say that Alutemu is correct in this approach. You accept that you lose board a little bit at the start, but you get it back. You have Arid Stormer, Gyre Worm, Canal Slogger, so many powerful comeback mechanisms, and I think you have to trust your deck to let you do that.
Yeah, I think that is a very fair way of looking at the matchup. I think whether or not you have the coin also plays a big role in that decision.
That's true, yeah.
You do get the out for kindling into coin Forgeborn, which is obviously the best possible outcome when you're going second. Obviously, I was concerned about the Pack Runner a while ago because every spell generates yet another annoying minion for Alutemu, but maybe he was just making the executive decision to say if it's a singular spell played next turn, that's not the end of the world for me. However, this turn, awkward.
A little messy, isn't it? You can go Stormer plus Rockbiter on it to clear off both the Kolkar and the Cult Neophyte. That's a huge expenditure of resources, of course, and it massively lowers your counter pressure potential once Doomhammer comes online. But his hand is a bit clunky at the moment, and he's taking a lot of damage. He needs to do something about it.
It's true. Worst case scenario if this happens is I guess they develop another thing, Barrock / Mankrik. Because Alutemu is in a position where if GivePLZ transitions completely over to just playing spells, then Alutemu's happy, right? Because he plays Canal Slogger. But against another minion, his clearing potential is severely impeded by that. And he's just made the decision to face tank extra damage in exchange to clear off a singular extra 1/1. Right? He took 2 damage to face tank the 2.
Yes, yeah. And I guess he's thinking he will hopefully recoup that because he won't necessarily be able to clear off all the 1/1s on the following turn. Honestly, it's not really a line I spotted, but it does make some good amount of sense. Kindling opens up quite a lot, actually, on this turn, though, right? It's just a coin if you are going to play an Elemental.
Yeah, it allows him to go Slogger plus Dungeoneer, but it's a small minion going into a possible Rhino. I guess he didn't have a solid read on it because no 3/4s have been played so far. And also, I somehow feel like the Inara is a little bit cleaner here in terms of trades.
Really?
If you go Slogger, you really don't want it to tank 3 damage into a Neophyte, right? Because it only gets eaten by one more thing. But I don't know, the healing might be relevant. But I might be playing a little bit too risky here, but I think Alutemu needs to take these risks and not like incrementally fall behind over a few turns, but survive longer.
If you go Inara, you tank 4 damage and then 3 more, so you'd be down to 8. Can your opponent kill you with 6 mana? It's possible.
With double quick shot hero power, I think.
Yeah, double quick shot hero power,
or
aim shot hero power, wound prey. Yeah, there's ways to do it.
Yeah, it's a specific hand, but I really like this. I think if Alutemu is super brave, if Alutemu survives, okay. But if he survives this turn, look how good of a spot he's in, right? The Canal Slogger gets to trade and be at a good health total. He just lost to this top deck, though.
He did just lose to this top deck. I believe that's a one-of as well in this list. Yeah, it's a one-of for GivePLZ. Like, it was exactly that card. 1 in 22 for lethal, and he just nails it like an absolute god. I mean, it was so unlikely. Even if you knew that the aim shot was in hand, it was still, as I said, very, very unlikely for GivePLZ to get that. So for Alutemu, I definitely do not begrudge him for this play at all. As I was saying, you have to let them feel like they're ahead as the hunter and recoup that afterwards with the Canal Slogger. It was just this exact hand from GivePLZ that punished Alutemu. It's a brutal way to go out, but I think as you so eloquently laid out, it was probably the correct line from Alutemu.
Yeah, it's a brave line. I'm still unsure. Like, you can also make arguments for Canal Slogger, Dungeoneer, and don't trade Neophyte instead, so you have to force them to take the Neophyte trade, but then that's a bit weak to aim shot as well. I generally think Inara gives Alutemu the greatest window to win the rest of the game, if the narrowest window to stay alive the next turn. And it so happened that GivePLZ found the out to be able to kill him for that slight risk taken. In any case, Alutemu now has to win 3 games versus this Mage, and my goodness, does that feel like a tall order. He does have the Hunter in there, but the Shaman I don't necessarily think is the best matchup.
Yeah, that one I think can get a little bit more rocky because you are relying, even in the form of Doomhammer, that the real difference from Shaman to Hunter comes from the fact that all your burst damage attacks face. You don't just send it face, so Ice Barrier is necessarily procced by all of your damage outside of Instructor Fireheart, if you can make some nonsense happen through that. But for the vast majority of your game plan, you're going to be proccing both of these Ice Barriers, which is just doubly bad. It obviously gives a lot of health to GivePLZ, but it also allows him to enable his to play Frost spells more frequently, get his quest completed a little bit quicker. It's a much worse matchup than Face Hunter is against Mage, in my opinion, but still very winnable. You know, if you're getting a bunch of minions on board at the start and they don't have Fire Sale, you're just going to kill them. If you get down an early Doomhammer and get all the burn spells, you're just going to kill them because they have no taunts and no healing outside of the pseudo healing from Ice Barrier available in the deck. So I'm not calling Alutemu out quite yet, as he has done some miraculous stuff over the course of his stay in Grandmasters right from the start, but it's obviously looking very bad, and now it's looking even badderer.
Batterer. All right. He does have the Kindling, which is boding well for at least the early game curve capabilities, because believe it or not, there is a downside to having to play Incanter's Flow on 2, which is you're not playing removal spells. It's a small downside, but if your opponent plays like Wailing Vapor, and you have to spend a turn playing Flow, sometimes you lose the game that way. It's just not one of those games, though, because Alutemu's curve kind of runs dry this turn.
Yeah, I mean, the real side of playing Coin Flow is that you won't have any friends anymore if you keep doing that, but like you say, there are actual mechanical downsides within the game as well. But yes, very, very, I think perfectly fine here for GivePLZ to go Coin into the Flow. It's not necessarily correct or incorrect. Like, he could have followed up with Ignite if he absolutely had to kill a target, but he still has a game plan, right? And it was just smoothed out by the 1-mana Ignite off the top as well if he needed any more help.
No littering!
No, I think usually I would have just gone Quest there because he wasn't guaranteed to have like a draw to play alongside Quest on turn 2 if he uses the coin. But it happened to work out here. It's a bit awkward that he doesn't have a clean answer to the Slogger, though. He could go Devolving, but I'm inclined to say just AI, you have a Flow played, so you'll get the return on investment the more you draw.
Well, that totem is mighty annoying for GivePLZ because while he may very well just decide to go AI Flurry because it completes his quest and very possibly, well, half the time freezes a 6/4, which is huge in terms of the amount of damage he's saving. He misses and Alutemu is happy. Finally, a little bit of luck is going his way.
Small smile from Alutemu over here. But GivePLZ gets a mediocre draw off from the deck, and the Cult Neophyte is huge here. My goodness, that shuts down Springwater. It shuts down almost anything good, really.
Yeah, so the quest was completed, nothing else has been played. And so there is quest completion available on this turn, actually, if he wants it, right? With Flurry, Hot Streak, Ignite, Devolving Missiles, or Cram Session. Probably the Devolving Missiles makes the most sense.
Yeah. He spoke too soon. This is pretty good. As long as it hits the slugger. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Slogger to hogger.
Yeah. Flurry another 50-50 to freeze a 3-2. Misses again. But I think GivePLZ is still relatively fine here. However, Alutemu is on the kind of hand that doesn't need to get on board necessarily.
Yeah, he's got it. That's why we got the small but noticeable facial expression when he drew the Doom Hammer. It's huge. This is when you transition. No ice barriers so far, so low on health total. Double Storm Strike. I mean, that's 16 damage. He can't play it next turn, of course, due to the mana limitations, but he technically has all the damage he needs in hand to close out the game.
Which means GivePLZ is looking for this barrier. That's the only healing Mage can really get. I don't think there are any spells left in Standard that let Mage freeze face other than Deep Freeze, which is too expensive.
You can play Varden this turn, though. That was 0 mana quest completion. Varden on the board now. This is a race all of a sudden.
Excuse me, sir? It's turn 5. All right, GivePLZ. Well done.
Whoa! It's so close! 1 mana.
1 play. Storm Strike.
Yeah.
Chip it face. GivePLZ. You got 6 mana and a Flow Blade to deal 23 damage from hand. It's on.
It's very doable. It's very, very doable, but he's going to have to get a little bit lucky. I think it's doable, right? If he hits a flow into another cram session, I don't know, surely you have to be able to do it here.
This is the worst time. This is the worst.
Okay, go. Click stuff. Just go.
Cheapest thing ever. But don't even play it. Just play cram session.
Yeah. We don't want to spend that mana.
There's no time to do odds here. No time.
Yep, 0 mana Thalanos. Oh, 1 had been played already. Yeah, perfect. Go.
Go. Ignite.
Perfect.
7. Oh, barrier. Barrier changes things.
Not from what we can see. It's going to be lethal no matter what.
Right, because there's 16 in hand again. But GivePLZ thinks that barrier changes things.
Maybe it's just not quite there. He doesn't have the mana, does he?
I don't think without the second flow or a spring water. I think he played 2 already, right?
Yeah.
He can get the 23. So Alutemu lives to see another day despite the turn 5 Arcanist Dawn Grasp.
Very, very close. Yeah, he knows exactly what the secret is. He knows that it cannot stop him. It will get his opponent up to 14. Still has lethal outside of that quite handsomely. So it is 1 game to 2 now. Alutemu starting to claw his way back in. I mean, if you think that this is Mage favored, then that's the worst matchup out of the way. I think that's not necessarily correct, but he's now got a Mage Mirror and Face Hunter. This is doable. This is starting to look like the start of a road to recovery here for Alutemu, where he can claw this series back and maybe get through to the semi-final. Because, I mean, as much as I love GivePLZ, to be able to watch a semi-final between Surrender and Alutemu, that's what I live for, Gia.
Oh, that's true. The APAC gods spoil us if that happens. But, you know, I'll be somebody that's rooting for GivePLZ for once. I feel like we don't give him enough credit. I feel like our wider audiences maybe don't really know how much good results he's had just consistently in the Master Swords. He's not have one of those flashy top 8s recently, but the fact that he's consistently made 32s and 16s in so wide of a field with all the best players, I think is something to be respected. I have called him the dead draw of APAC. I will call him that again, and he has definitely what it takes to even surpass that. Not just Mr. Consistency. This could be the season where GivePLZ really takes it all the way to Worlds. Who knows? He needs to still win on this Mage. It's looking a bit difficult now because Alutemu has an actual tried and true, non-arguable favorable here.
Yeah, exactly. This one is very, very difficult to overcome. What we saw from Surrender was a little bit of an outlier. It wasn't the widest board, the widest start for Lambi series, sorry. And like, for example, if there hadn't been a first flame in hand, it was over. Like that. That card needed to be in hand for Surrender to be able to kill off the Cult Neophyte. Without that, game over on the spot. Way too much damage going through. And so you are on a knife's edge as the Mage in this matchup. You cannot make one misstep, both in terms of your play or even your draw. You have to get fortunate to be winning an unfavorable like this one. But for Alutemu, you know, as we were talking about yesterday, I do think While with the Shaman, you can very often mulligan for the Doomhammer portion of the deck. I think with the Face Hunter, you mulligan all out for the strongest turn 1 and 2 play, and then you start worrying about transitioning over, because you just want to hit them for like 6-7 damage before Ice Barrier comes down, and then you can worry about getting over the edge with the burn damage.
Yeah, I like how you draw that comparison between Shaman and Hunter, because they do have discrete halves of the deck that rely on board presence, and then the other half that's on burn. But the difference between Shaman and Hunter, I think, is that Hunter has a bit more redundancy with their burn game plan, and it can be parceled out prior to turn 5. So because you have so many different options that aren't all reliant on one card, I think it does make more sense to mulligan heavily for the early curve, because like you are able to play that burn spell almost no matter whenever it enters your hand.
Well, I mean, a reasonable start here for Alutemu. Obviously, being able to go Vulpetinger into Demon Companion, as it currently looks, would float a mana, so you kind of want to mulligan into like Cult Neophyte more ideally. But you have a lot of 1-drops in the deck. I think just holding on to both the 1s and trying to, as I was saying, get under the removal of the Mage. Going wide is where they struggle before turn 4.
Or best of both worlds. However, GivePLZ does have a decent opener with the 2 Brain Freezes.
Yeah, that's true.
This is not a matchup where you struggle to use Frost Spells. There will almost always be targets in the early game. However, the Vulpertingers are not really the size of minion that he wants to Brain Freeze, and the Neophyte will lock GivePLZ out from being able to combo one of them out next turn. Oh, but it's not being played.
Interesting. Kind of on the Neophyte plan there, because again, it's that conundrum where it's first flame or you're going to tank 5 on the following turn, or 4, I suppose, because you ping one of the Vulpetingers, whereas here it opens up a little bit more. They can still use the coin. They have Brain Freezes that they can then combo as well. So it goes wider, but it's much more vulnerable to a response.
It's vulnerable to a partial response. I think what Alutemu is playing around by saving Neophyte here is the Coin Fire Sale game plan from GivePLZ, which is also a card you keep against Hunter on Coin, I believe. So Alutemu is a bit punished by the fact that there's combinations of spells here from GivePLZ, but he leaves himself better against one particular spell. Small intricacies here.
Wow, GivePLZ not going with First Flame Brain Freeze. I was kind of looking at that to, or maybe he could still with the coin, I suppose, complete the quest on this turn, and then looking to complete it again in probably 2 turns' time. But, you know, if he gets himself another Primordial Study, this could be quest completed level 2 on turn 3.
This is insanely good. Also, the usage of coin here kind of foils Alutemu's plan. Not that Alutemu has a read on whether... I think if you see coin there, you kind of have a read on there being no fire sale. But this particular hand from GivePLZ, that he has still more 1-mana spells for removal and a Thalnos to spend the mana cleanly, is a big problem for Alutemu.
It is indeed, but at the same time, his opponent's down to 23. They're going to tank 3 more from minions here. Like, just going face every turn. Warsong Wrangler to pick Vulpetingers. That's another 2 damage because you have 1 on the board.
Yeah, you never pick the Rhino here because GivePLZ is almost certainly trading the Thalnos next turn, and the Rhino, while it is a big minion for the 5-mana curve, it's simply more valuable at this point to weave in the hero power every single turn, and you take the immediate buff on the Vulpertinger while it's available. Only question is, do you value trade... sorry, not value trade. Do you ever trade a Marsoul Cup to play around Fire Sale a bit better?
It is a big difference in terms of Fire Sale, isn't it? Like, having a 3-1 is absolutely massive.
We talked about how using coin for GivePLZ maybe puts Alutemu on a soft read on there being no Fire Sale in hand. I think I would come to that conclusion, so I'd be very tempted to just ship this face, but there's got to be other punishes too. Second Brain Freeze gets to the 4 brain point, for example. I don't know.
Oh, there's like 4 cards have been drawn since that play was made with using the coin. Like, it's Thalnos, quest completion, 2 natural draws as well. I think making the trade here is the responsible play.
All right. Man, oh, there it is. Oh, wait,
Simply
but he only
correct.
would have gotten that if the Thalnos died. But then GivePLZ would have traded it in a 3-4? I don't know.
Sure, yeah. All this definitely decides whether it was strictly correct or not.
Yes,
I agree.
obviously. Oriented casting. Trademark.
All right, well, only turn 4, which means, of course, that Flurry is only freezing 1 minion at the moment. A very big difference, actually, in terms of its efficacy on this turn.
Yeah. And also, where you send the Brain Freeze is obvious. I think it goes into the 3-4 if you are looking to Fire Sale the next turn, but Fire Sale next turn feels so slow. Like, he's not doing anything else, right? I much prefer, get rid of the damage. I mean, it's the same immediate damage he deletes, freezing either the 3-4 or the 3-2, right? But this play is saying that I'm going to allocate my mana to deleting these things with different spells next turn, in which case you would rather have not a partially damaged minion on board.
Oh, Alutemu finally falls to the Flurry after dodging it so expertly earlier on. But now, my goodness, this is looking very good for him. I mean, as long as you just fit in a hero power every turn, you're... Okay, I was going to say that the obvious play is just Volputting a hero power, then you can go the Marked Shot hero power. Piercing shot hero power, and then aimed shot hero power as well. Too many shots. But there's not necessarily going to be a minion for the piercing shot, right?
Yeah, not necessarily. You can say that against Fire Sale, GivePLZ won't have the mana to then ping what will be a 3-1 Warsong Commander and say that's my piercing shot target. But I'd be tempted to just rip the piercing shot right now because it's mana that's really difficult to spend. He gets to spend all of it cleanly with the Volpertinger here, and you can still account for the top decks, right? I mean, at some point you might draw a quick shot, you might draw your other aim shot, and then you're slowing yourself down by a whole turn if you don't piercing shot. I'm not necessarily sure.
I'm coming around to your point of view as well. Like, you have to trust as well that you're going to draw a lot of damage off the top of your deck, and so you might need mana for that as well. I think this is just the correct play to guarantee that you have a target for it.
Yeah. And against this particular hand from GivePLZ, which has a way to clear everything with the Fire Sale Brain Freeze, then that target being cashed in while it was on board is a big, big deal. Because from this point, Alutemu plays a grand total of 0 minions. I guess he can, but it's probably actively bad for him to give these targets from here because, like, you just don't need minions here. Ice Barrier, don't need to proc it, just push the button.
Yeah, and hero power, the Wound Prey here, I think you can probably get away with saving just because of the potential of second piercing shot, right? To give yourself a guaranteed 1-1.
Absolutely. And also just less targets for GivePLZ.
True, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was he only on Arcane at that point? Okay, so targets didn't really matter. The Arcane spells can also go face, like Ruined Orb. But yes, the second piercing shot point is very relevant. You're right.
Oh, but just look how much slower this quest is this game as opposed to the last game. Like, GivePLZ was too slow playing Arcanist Dawn's Grasp on turn 5, whereas now he's going to be playing Varden on turn 7, which is just brutally slow.
Yeah, it just doesn't get there. Alutemu simply needs to draw one piece of burn. I mean, it's not enough in hand. But honestly, if it's Varden next turn, he's also not guaranteed to die. Like, I don't know, the flow is played, but only one, right? So if GivePLZ Dawn Grasp, Cram Session, Burn Spell still costs things.
These are Kokar lands.
Is he not hero powering? Okay. As long as he hero powers, it's fine. I thought he played the Rhino. I was about to have a heart attack. I think that's just bad.
Yeah, agreed. You just want to go with the hero power every turn. It's one off, of course, which hurts, but it can still get there.
Yeah, smart to play the minion here because he knows that if Dawngrasp comes down this turn, like, GivePLZ then has to spend mana on something defensive. And, you know, Alutemu will not proc this Ice Barrier. He's just giving himself ways to get rid of the Varden.
Oh, he's just going Rhino, right? This is just lethal. You trade in the Rhino, hero power, and then it's just game. It was very clever play from Alutemu to go with the minion specifically that turn because he knew, okay, Varden's in hand. Varden wants to be played. That gives me a target for Rhino, assuming I can damage it. So unless it's a very specific hand where he can go Varden and clear enough minions off the board so the Rhino can't overkill it. Basically, he knew he was very, very likely to be able to get himself lethal on the following turn. good estimation, good calculation, getting himself to game 5 here now. It's just a Mage mirror to close things out.
Amazing how Alutemu pulled this one back. It could be a reverse sweep on the Mage, but it comes down to the mirror. I think up to this point, Alutemu has made very, very conscious decisions to abuse the way that this Mage works, right? He is aware of all the breakpoints, played around Fire Sale with that trade, played around Fire Sale with Neophyte on turn 3 instead of turn 2, and that final setup into the Varden turn, he honestly didn't need it because there is just no way he could die the next turn, and then just button, I think, would have been fine, unless I'm not accounting for some type of Mage God draw. But in any case, having it done that cleanly is very, very good understanding, and I hope some of that will also be relevant in this mirror, but something tells me there's a lot less you can do in terms of counterplay here.
Yeah, this Mage mirror is going to be a little bit weird because, as is eternally the problem in Mage mirrors or Mage versus any deck that doesn't play minions, it's the Frost portion. Frost is very, very difficult to play. Ice Barrier is the only card that you can just play onto an empty board with no minions on either side of the board. But Ice Barrier, of course, you can't play 2 of them on top of each other. So if your opponent never attacks face with a minion, you're only ever playing 1 Ice Barrier. So it's a scramble to discover a minion off of either off of Primordial Studies or drawing your 1 Thief and then attacking that with Brain Freeze, which then gives you 1 extra target. Flurry gets very weird, of course, because you can only play that when there are opposing minions on the board as opposed to friendly minions either. So this could get a little bit weird. All the fundamentals of Hearthstone that you know and hold dear are being thrown out the window.
Because of what we talked about, I was wondering, does that ever just make 1 Thief a keep? Like, you won't
maybe
necessarily have a way to proc it. But, you know, that's a card that's kept in hand alongside the quest. 2 out of 3, not Encanter's Flow. I respect it from Alutemu. Look for something better. This opening hand is not synergizing with itself whatsoever, but it is at least an Arcane and a Fire spell currently.
Oh, there you go. Fire, Frost, Arcane. Alutemu's got them all.
Sugar, spice, everything nice. Loses to Professor Flow, I guess. Which GivePLZ does have. Chemical Flow is what I meant to say.
Chemical Flow, yeah. Well, Blood Mage Thalnos, yeah, I think it's got to be the pick. Like, if you had Cram Session in hand, you could obviously hear out Phoenix, but it's got to be the pick. Draw an extra card, Brain Freeze it. Whew.
I do favor the flow with this hand from Alutemu, but I respect him hesitating on the Phoenix because the dormant ability on it has this kind of cool interaction where the turn it wakes up, only you can target it, right? Until that point, GivePLZ cannot make any use of his targets. So Alutemu is giving himself, I guess, the chance to draw more if he gets Cram Session anytime in the next 2 turns.
I don't get it. I just straight up don't understand this. Like, if you're trying to draw cards, pick Thalnos. You get to do the quest quicker. You draw an extra card. Like, maybe he's hoping to draw Fireball. He can just point it face, or, you know, as you said, Cram Session. But, I mean, I guess you can go this way. Maybe it's Brain Freeze uncomboed is the point, and then hope you draw another Frost or Fire spell to point at the Phoenix itself then, once it's frozen but not damaged. Very odd.
Yeah. But he'll also need an Arcane. Or no, sorry, he played the Primordial Studies as the first Arcane. But yeah, okay, he is just going for Brain Freeze like this, into Hot Streak for quest completion, into hopefully drawing a Frost spell from the quest progression, which will let him get a second Frost spell and point it at the Phoenix if it's not Flurry. Very complicated state of affairs here.
Yeah, very, very odd indeed.
Thinking if he should play First Flame, but if the whole point of having the Phoenix is to give yourself the out of playing another Frost spell,
right,
then you shouldn't kill it immediately, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious. I'm sure that Alutemu has something here that I'm not quite seeing, but it's...
He looks unsure himself.
Yeah, well, I should say I'm sure he has something I'm not seeing. I choose to believe that he is seeing something that I'm not.
Okay.
Oh, come on!
Come
on!
It has to be Thanos this time, right?
What?
He's a Phoenix gamer!
To his very core, the exact same 3 options twice in a row. He just slams the Phoenix.
Okay, I will say the Thalnos is a bit more sketchy to take here because if he plays it here, he can't immediately kill it. So, okay,
Yeah,
or you have to spend Hot Streak and First Flame to kill it, which sounds like quite a bit much. And then you really want to spend your next turn on Spring Water.
Sure.
So, but then you could just save the Thalnos and then go Spring Water, play the Thalnos, and hopefully kill it. It's 1 mana less efficient. So Alutemu's been playing for maximum mana efficiency, sure, but I don't know if that's better than maximum card draw.
I mean, it does at least make some amount of sense on this turn because you get to play the Spring Water before it wakes up, which means you're more likely to get Cram Session if that is your game plan, or Fireball if that's your game plan.
He hit the flurry, yeah.
Oh.
Looking for it. GivePLZ played a stealth minion, so you need exactly flurry to benefit off of this with a frost spell. That is perfect for Alutemu.
And I
And
hadn't even considered that interaction, but I mean, as you very well put, that is perfect for Alutemu to complete his next level of quest as well. Discover a spell, draw with the spell next turn. He just needs 1 more frost spell, which comes in the form of Ice Barrier, and he's fine.
Yeah. That's just quest complete.
Just play that now.
Never Fire Sale. Because the stealth is still a minion that GivePLZ can target and stuff. Okay, he's going.
Oh, he's actually completed it. He can just play Varden next turn. That's so sick.
Yeah, the only room for error there is if the first evolve turns into like Homunculus or some dormant thing.
Sure, yeah.
And then you got screwed, but so low odds of that. So Alutemu on quest completion with, is this going to be the 6-card cram session? No, the Phoenix wakes up too early for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit out of step, but I can still understand what Alutemu was going for with this one. Again, neither Phoenix especially worked out for him. And the first one I am still very dubious of, but the second one, if he hadn't got specifically Dawn Grasp completion on turn 5, it would have made sense.
Yo, Alutemu's expressions this whole game. I mean, exactly what he was looking for. He didn't get the flow this early, but it is right on time to make sure he can keep up with GivePLZ's flow, because GivePLZ has not kept up on quest completion. He did finally put minions on board because he recognized this is the turn Alutemu is looking to play Varden. It's exactly what Alutemu did to GivePLZ a while ago on the Hunter. Alutemu just figuring out whether it's worth fire sailing the trade right now.
Yeah.
Low. I think it doesn't make a difference, right? Because you're gonna flow and discount whatever.
Right, but you see 1 extra card, even if it's more expensive, because assuming that you don't have the mana to trade Fire Sale next turn.
True.
Close. I think you probably do it, but I'm not certain at all. Because again, Fire Sale might actually just be useful. It's not out of the question that you might need to go for some kind of a board clear.
Maybe, but okay, if you're getting the other flow, Alutemu, no questions asked from me. I was gonna say Fire Sale, you are almost certainly not spending 4 mana on that.
Yeah, probably.
Like the rest of his deck does the same thing for much cheaper. But here we go, GivePLZ. Coming up on the Discovers are very bad here. Mask, are we going into old Mage Mirror?
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad, right? Obviously, Varden is just a 5-drop, so Devolving Missiles does mean that this is probably a board that you can just fairly easily deal with, even if you have to trade into the Phoenix first, and then you can just start launching stuff face.
It's true. Just go full Gur from here. I mean, he's never going face with minions, right? Because there's an Ice Barrier up. Voracious really pretty funny.
Yeah, you're right.
So, in terms of efficiency, I guess he chucks a Fireball face?
Makes sense to me.
It'd be pretty cool for Gur to be just a new GM coming in here, his first series on stream, and we already have a whole line of play named after him.
Yeah, not many players can boast that. But Alutemu taking a straight up setup turn here, I think feeling fairly safe, which, Yeah, sure, he's got an ice barrier up, so this 4 damage on board does not equal, you know, it's not there essentially.
Yep. And does GivePLZ have any way of dealing 15 without quest done?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither. Not with 7 mana. Build Trader? For what? I think GivePLZ is supposed to just play Mask here and pray that Alutemu doesn't kill him next turn.
Yeah, agreed. Probably take Guild Trader as well because it's cheapest immediate spell damage, and you can also just trade it if you have to on the following turn.
Yep.
All right.
If he saw a turn that's double flow, I'm almost certain he knows this is Cram Session. But here we go. The deck costs pretty much nothing for Alutemu. Doing odds, is it better to shuffle and Ignite that costs something, or go Cram Session first while everything is super cheap?
Oh, surely you just blast them.
Yep, agreed. We just want maximum chances for damage, because everything is playable here.
Or another Ignite.
5. Is
That looked like a Ruined Orb.
That's another 6. That's an Arcane Intellect. Sorry. Okay, 2 draws left. This is getting closer than I thought. Wand Thief? Not what he wants to see. Barrier.
Oh,
Ignite.
Spring Water 1 mana off.
Ignite.
The nerf. The nerf.
The nerf. The nerf. The Ignite is fresh, so it is not buffed by any previous Ignites.
Yeah. That's 2 damage off lethal. Is he losing this game?
Yes.
There's no way.
I'm still in disbelief, but yes. Okay, GivePLZ still needs to draw 5 damage.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not guaranteed.
It's not over, but he's got Guild Trader Cram Session.
Yeah, you probably
I think his Ignites probably just do it from this point, right?
Yeah, agreed. You play it, you don't trade it. And,
oh my god, the cheap Cram Session. He's going Gur! He's going Gur! There's an Ignite!
That's it,
That
the Fireball.
is game! Quest, not good!
Yeah, imagine Varden getting there. It's all just about launching Burn Face. Mask of Cthulhu, a 7-mana Pyroblast here. Absolutely disgusting and very well played by GivePLZ. I think we saw a little smirk at the end there. Rightly so. You should be proud of yourself, May. A very, very well played game. Understanding, as is often the case, you know, with Spell Mage pre-expansion, similarly to Quest Mage here, as they are both, you know, fairly similar decks, all things considered in terms of their overarching game plan. Just going launch Burn at the face is very often enough to get there because there's just no healing, no minions to get in the way of Mask of Cthulhu, and GivePLZ recognize that very early.
Very, very well played to GivePLZ, but Derek, we have to ask some questions. 2 Thalnos could have been taken, which means 2 more cards total could have been drawn this game. Mana efficiency would have been slightly changed there. I don't know if it's enough to say whether it mattered, but like the first Phoenix kind of understood where it said what's at, but I absolutely agree. The second one was just unbelievable to see that over a card draw. The Cram Sessions weren't enough there for Alutemu.
Yeah, it was just a weird choice overall. Not the way that I would have played it at all, but hopefully we will get... he usually tweets out whenever he had a difficult decision, his thought process, so I will get... Well, Google will do a horrible translation, and then you hopefully will give me a more accurate representation of what he was trying to say. Because as is the case with Alutemu, he's always thinking about more stuff, more aspects of the game than I am at any given point. So I